Hang on, just checking something out. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to make a video on some more stories from the psych ward, like the video I just uploaded today. So yeah, so one time when I was in the psych ward in 2018, and I had this like dark witchcraft gang follow me into the psych ward and the CIA. Um, so I was with the gang leader in my room, like he was my roommate in the psych ward, and so this is actually getting a little more towards recently. So I had a vision. I was thinking about him one day. This was like a few months ago, and I had a vision. This was like a pretty powerful vision. Not like one of those the most powerful vision you could have, but this was a pretty powerful vision. I saw the word android, so I think he might actually be like an android because I know that's something that the reptilians use. They use technologies like um, sort of like what we would call AI or like sentient computers and things like that. So he might actually be an android. And one of the other people who was following me into the psych ward, one of his like gang members, I guess. Um, so back in 2018 when I was in the psych ward, he looked like he wanted to fight me because like he wanted to actually do it, but he didn't know how to say it. So because everything was mostly um like passive indirect communication. There was some direct communication, but the most of the communication was like passive and indirect. So this guy, he I was walking past him and he just goes like this. He looks at me in the eye and he goes, I don't know if you can see, but yeah, like he was doing this like Asian martial arts stance. And yeah, but it's funny because what I was thinking about recently was so when I saw him there, he uh he was like this tall, lanky guy with like tan skin, and he was wearing like this button up shirt with like plaid on it, like you would see in Macy's or something. And um yeah, so recently when I was thinking about that with the Android vision, um I don't know if this was around the same time or if it was maybe like a month apart or something, but I was like I was getting kind of like laughing at him a little bit because I was like, oh, we got Long Tan and Handsome over here, guided by General Grievous. So they got really mad when I said that because, like, they possessed me. They put like voices in my head and stuff like that, and they're always like observing me from the spiritual realm. And if you don't know what Long Tan and Handsome is, that's from SpongeBob. Just a funny thing, but yeah. And General Grievous is from Star Wars. He's like that android general on the Sith. So there's that. There's something else I wanted to say about that, but I don't remember what it was. Well, I've seen this gang leader like. So here's another story. So there were times I saw this guy like a lot. There's specific times of as the years went on. So I saw him a lot in 2020, like out in the world. So if I'm like driving around, or if I was like mostly driving around, but if I was also like hanging out on the porch in my front yard, or if I like went to a park in some other town, I kept seeing him everywhere I went. Like I know it was this person because like I know what he looks like. The memory of his face stayed in my memory. So I saw him like everywhere I went. And there was even a time when I was driving down this road called Hempstead Turnpike on Long Island, sort of like where I live. But I looked in my rear view. I saw him first. I saw him at a car wash with this other guy. They were talking to each other. So I drive past them and I look in my rear view, and he's looking directly at me from the rear view with like this curious look on his face. And the guy that he was talking to, I saw that guy. I know his face. I saw him again in the psych ward when I went that year for the technically the fourth time or fifth time, but the second time that all the weird stuff was happening with all the stuff. Like these people like literally like follow me in the world, and I saw him just like about a year ago too. Um, the gang leader guy at Whole Foods this time. Yeah, it's just crazy shit. Makes for a good story, I think. Another thing he did was in the hospital in 2018. This gang leader guy. When I was leaving, I think what was it? He had like my deodorant, and he was like, "Do you want to take the deodorant?" And the deodorant said "confidence" on it. It was Old Spice, and I know that he meant like symbolically because I wasn't very confident at all that much, but he meant it like symbolically, like, "Do you want to take your confidence, or do you want me to have your confidence?" And what he did after that, well, during that was so I went to my room. He was the roommate, and I went to my room to go grab something, probably deodorant, probably also like something else. I don't really remember, but he was like standing out, standing right in front of the window, looking out. And again, with the intuitive hits, I had this intuitive hit that he was giving me like a symbolic like act, because my immediate thought was or my immediate perception was in this video game I was obsessed with when I was a kid called Mario RPG. It's on the Super Nintendo. Um, so in that game, there's a boss called his name is Johnny the Shark or whatever, and he's like literally like the leader of the sharks, like these like pirates, and he is actually like a shark, and pirates, gangs, similar stuff. Um, so after you defeat that boss, he's kind of like he goes to the window in the pirate room on the pirate ship that you fight him in, and he just stares at the window, and you kind of just leave. So like this is like the intuitive perception that he was like trying to put in my mind was it's like he is saying that he is the gang leader. I don't know. When you really get in, I don't know like how much experience the viewer you have with some of the spiritual stuff, but when you really get into this stuff, you find that a lot of these people, um, spirits, entities like that, communicate, they speak through like symbols and stuff like that. So there was something else I wanted to mention. What was it? Um, it was just on the tip of my tongue. What was it? Damn, I can't remember what it was. Oh yeah, here's it. So one of the other weird things, this is kind of magical, was so one night when I was in my room with my roommate, he was sleeping in his bed, I was in my bed. I woke up and I just looked over to my left where he was like sleeping, and I saw above him there was like this red light on the wall. So I'm kind of like, why is there just like a red light on the wall? Like, there's no lights in this room. Like, nothing could be lighting that up. Like, that's not coming from somewhere. So I look at the only window in the room, and yeah, I see a couple like traffic lights, but they're yellow. They're not red. But there's nothing else. Like, there's no. I look out the window, and there's no red light. And then when I realize that, I'm like, damn, that's fucking weird. And then when I look at the red light on the wall, it just rises up and then disappears. It goes on the ceiling a little bit, then just disappears. It's like weird stuff like that kind of was happening too. I had this intuitive perception that the place was haunted. Um, I'm sure a lot of psych wards and insane asylums are all haunted. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, just some weird stuff. Another thing was in that hospital experience with even in the second hospital experience with all the weird stuff like 2 years later, um, it seems like the TV was like talking to me, and what happened? See, I know that's something that a lot of schizophrenics actually talk about, is that it seems like the TV is talking to me. But this was really weird. Like, they would, the people on TV, whatever we would watch, like, we were watching a lot of, the hell's that show? It's like a game show. Um, what's that guy's name? Steve Harvey. He has like some game show or something. And it seemed like everything he was saying on the show, like he was talking about me. He's like, oh yeah, the 24-year-old with long hair and like schizophrenia. His name's Mike. Uh, just stuff like that. Like he kept like talking about me, and he was like, "They're coming to get you," and stuff like that. But like it keeps happening, even when we change the channel. It's like then you put on a movie and they're talking about like, "Oh, you're sitting in a psych ward and you're thinking a lot," and um, you know, just stuff like that. I can't think of it like the exact. It's my memory's kind of a blur of some of the exact stuff like that, but that I remember that was the experience, and it was all day long because the TV was on all day in the TV room, and every time I would sit down and just kind of watch TV, um, it seemed like they kept like talking about me. I don't know if he like casted a spell or something or a manifestation where it would just line up perfectly with that because magic is weird when you get into this stuff. The way it works is like very strange because it kind of just aligns perfectly with whatever your desire is. It aligns reality perfectly with whatever your desire is. So yeah, there's just weird stuff like that. And then I had this thought, like, um, again, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I had this thought, like, did they put like a tulpa? A tulpa is like a thought form spirit that a sorcerer creates in his mind, and you can attach it to an object or something. And I had this thought, like, did he create a tulpa and put it in the TV so that it kind of is like maneuvering around the TV and like doing that? And I heard him or someone else say, "How'd you figure this out?" Like it was at that exact moment. It was really fucking weird. He said other things too, but keep in mind, like experiences like that kept happening all day long, like pretty much the whole time I was there, and just really sketchy people. I know being in a psych ward is like you're gonna see sketchy people regardless, but like I said, if you saw my last video talking about the CIA, like he just directly said it. But yeah. And if you want to check out that one, that's the video I just uploaded today. What is it called? Odd experiences, and I list all the weird things that were involved in that. So yeah, what else? So another weird thing was I mean this was kind of more just like paranoia. Like this is something that any schizophrenic can go through. Was I was sitting in like this little outdoor space, like it's caged up, but it's outside, and I saw this bee come in through the cage, and I had this immediate like paranoia that it was like it wasn't actually a bee, but it was like a camera or something sent from the government to like spy on me or something. Now I know obviously like that's probably just paranoia, but when you have someone, the nurse, coming up to you and telling you that he's in the CIA, I mean, you never know. I never really figured that one out, not psychically or intuitively. I don't really care that much, but just weird stuff. So what else? Well, another thing was every time I would walk past this one guy, he was always like up against the wall, and when he would look at me, he would just go like this, like he was wanting to fight me or something. Again, that can just be like people are in the psych ward, so they're all angry and stuff like that. But realistically, from my experience, when you're experiencing a lot of the magical stuff and um, just weird stuff like that, and you have people that are bothering you, following you, and stuff like that, you know, because something I know about myself is that I am genuinely mentally ill. I take medication and it helps me, but I am also genuinely psychic. So I have visions of the future, they come true. I've done manifestations and spells and experienced some other magical stuff. I don't always talk about this, but I actually have mild electrokinesis. So, like, um, one day in 2023, I was contemplating how magical powers actually work. And when I was thinking about, like, an electric eel, I'm like, all it has to do to develop that power, for it to evolve, is it just has to, like, do it. Just keep doing it. Because it's an animal. It doesn't know, like, what it's doing. It doesn't believe that it can't do it, so it just does it. And I thought about that, and I'm like, what if I did that? Because, they teach you in biology class that you have an electrical current in your body. And the minute I thought about that, I had this download where, or an activation where I felt electrical, like, shocks all over my body, and it didn't go away for a while. I still have it to this day. It's a little bit weaker nowadays, but it's just stuck with me. I can kind of, like, move it. I just moved it right now. It was never enough for me to, like, send out an electrical bolt or anything, but I can feel the electrical current in my body. And then I think it was the next day or later on that day, I did the same, but, like, with fire, where I was contemplating that, and I was like, all you really have to do is just focus on the heat, like, feel the heat, warmth, the energy in your body. Just imagine it, feel it getting very hot. And I'm doing it a little bit right now, and I think if I keep doing that, like, you can eventually create, like, fire on your body. And when I thought about that, I the minute I thought about that, the next moment I felt burning sensations all over my body, and I never had that feeling before. See, that's crazy. Not like it actually created a fire on my body, but I felt like burning on my hands, all over my body. It didn't hurt. It just felt weird. Even with the electricity, it doesn't hurt. It just feels weird because I wasn't used to it. I've also had experiences with telekinesis where, like, this was around the same time period in 2023 where I still have it, the soda can tab. I took it. Now I didn't have any fan on, or there was no wind current in my room, and I put it on my hand, and I just kept focusing on it. Like, I don't remember what direction I was pushing it in, like forward or backward, but it actually did that movement, and my hand was still. So, with all this other weird stuff, I'm sure that was telekinesis. So yeah. Also, experiences with levitation, and that was in 2022 a lot. Um, so, like, I had this dream one night where I I was at my grandma's house, and I was in a chair, and I grabbed the chair, and I imagined myself, like, lifting up, like, levitating, and I actually did that in the dream. Obviously, it's just a dream, so it doesn't really matter. But when I woke up from that dream, I opened my eyes, and I was like, that was a cool dream. I remember the feeling, so I was like, what if I just did that right now to my hand? And I didn't move any muscle in my hand, obviously, because I was trying to levitate. But my hand just, like, arose because I was imagining it, and I was still kind of in, like, that zen sleepy state, and my hand just lifted up. I didn't move any muscle, but I just imagined the feeling of it lifting up, and it actually did. I've had a few other experiences with that year where, like, I moved my body, like, to the side without actually physically moving, just by imagining it. Um, and I think even when I was a little kid, this is something I realized more recently, but I remember when I was a little kid, I remember imagining that feeling too. I didn't put any word on it, like levitation or anything like that, or magic even. But I remember when I was a little kid, I used to just, like, imagine my hand getting very relaxed, or my arms, and then just rising. It was the same feeling. I know the feeling. Like, I remember it clearly. So yeah. So I could have even had that experience when I was a kid. And again, this isn't. Well, I didn't say this, but this isn't to brush my ego. I just like sharing stories and talking about this stuff. I think it's fun, and I don't know if it helps. It helps. I mean, I definitely believe in magic, and I definitely believe in the power of magical healing. I've had successful healing spells on others and for myself. So I want to talk about the hospital experiences. There was a lot. Like I don't even remember all of it. Uh, there's a few things I can talk about. Well, there was one experience that I had where it was nighttime and I was in the TV room. I look out the window and I see a light, like I don't know if it was like a street light or a like a light on someone's front yard. But there was like a little bright light, and all around was darkness because it was nighttime. So I'm just focusing on the light, and I'm imagining or feeling my consciousness expanding. And it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And people meditate on candlelights, like that's the thing. But um, my consciousness got like my focus got like so big that well, here's what happened first. So I look at the TV and baseball was on, and I'm like, the guy's gonna hit a home run, and the guy pitches, the guy swings his bat, he misses, he strikes out. Again, the guy gets the ball, he pitches, the guy does a grand slam, and it's a home run. It's like it's funny when stuff like that works out. But anyway, getting back to the expansion thing, um, so my consciousness expanded so fucking much that like all of a sudden I felt like I was bigger than my body. Like it was like an out of body experience almost. It felt like I was my surroundings and like I was in like the void of the universe and all of reality just started violently like going back and forth and I got really freaked out. I was like, whoa, like not ready for that. And I went back in my body and when I went back in my body I wanted to do that again. So it was funny. It's like why would you want to do that again if it just freaked you out? But I don't know. Yeah. And what was the other thing? Uh it was just something well, one of the things was that gang leader guy and really all of the dark witchcraft gang members were trying to manipulate me and possess my mind and control my will. So at one point, um, I thought they were trying to help me with something. So I was kind of listening to him, and I was sitting on the chair, and I started like just like focusing, concentrating, but like I was listening to whatever or doing whatever I heard was whatever people were saying or what sounded like people were saying to tell me to do. Whatever they were telling me to do, I was doing it. So he said like get up. I got up. He said sit down. I sat down. And I think this is what happened. I don't remember exactly, but this is like what I was doing. So then the guy, one of the nurses, like I was all I'm saying is I was just listening to whatever they told me to do. But then the nurse or whatever brought these cookies out because it was like snack time or whatever. And so I get up, I go over to get the cookies. He hands me two packages, and this gang leader guy is standing right there. And when I grab the packages, um, I don't remember if I had this thought like I'm only supposed to have one or something like one package, but I just accepted two. And the gang leader guy, he looks at me, he goes, "Very good," and it was because I was like submitting to whatever he told me to do. Like I don't know if I expressed that right. I don't remember the exactly what happened, but I do remember that where I was like I was just accepting whatever fate brought me or whatever they told me to do, and it felt like I was being manipulated or like possessed in a way. So that's why he was trying to tell me like very good because he wanted me to do that. So I sat down after that, and this I do remember. Um, I was sitting in the chair, and this guy comes up to me. He said something very threatening. I got scared and I just like shook it all off and I was like, I can't be doing that. Like I can't just be listening to whatever they tell me to do. And I don't remember if he said anything after that, but it was weird because I just it's like sobering up. Like I just completely I like drinking coffee when you're drinking beers. Like you just sober up and you're just like, damn, I can't like do that. So this is something I have realized is that fear does sometimes save you in regards to like things like that. Yeah, I don't know if that was really a good story that one, but I don't know how to like say it. What like what the experience or scenario was, but it was something. So another thing was that I noticed he kind of like entered my dreams because I was having really weird dreams that experience in that first hospital experience with the weird stuff and the gang members. So I I had this dream where he was like uh he's like this is gonna sound weird, but he was trying to convince me to either fight or fuck some of the people there. So um in my dream he was telling me you could either fight or fuck. Or if you don't do either, then we dye your hair blonde. And even though they were like manipulating my mind to try to get me to do this stuff, he I had like this awareness where it's like I knew like don't do anything they say. For the most part, I knew that. I know I just shared that story where I was listening to them, but I had this awareness where it's like regardless of these thoughts they're putting in my head or anything like that, uh I had this awareness like just focus because you can't take that away. So in the dream, he gave me this message where he was like, "Yeah, he's conscious," and they put me in like a box, like a death, like a coffin almost, and they buried me. I think he was trying to say that like he's trying to convince me to like listen to him, obviously, but so he's trying to say that like being conscious and not doing what your impulses tell you to do is death. It was weird. I don't even know if I expressed that right. See, there was something else I wanted to mention too. What was it? Well, actually, one time when I was in my bed in my room, and my roommate, the gang leader, got up. Well, no, he came in from the door, and he kind of like looked at me, and then he looked the other way. I think I remember he was looking the other way when he said this. When he said this, but I think he did look at me first. But he was like, "The witch is here," and I had a weird dream that night, and um, well, when he said the witch is here, he was referring to this woman that was working there. And I think like the way I think like how could I say this? Like the literal or like common sense meaning of what he meant was the woman is like a witch, like an evil person. In reality, not all witches are evil, but it's common. The word witch is commonly used to describe evil people. So he kind of meant it like that, but obviously on the symbolic or spiritual level, he meant literally like a witch, uh, like a like a literal magical witch. And so the woman he was referring to was the woman who just showed up and she was working there. And I think I met her later that day or at some point around the time he said that. And so I had a weird dream that night. I don't remember what the dream was. I think it was, what was it about? I think they were just calling me out on some toxic behavior or something. But the next day when I woke up, the woman who he called a witch, she came up to me and she was like, "Did you get the message last night?" And I'm like, "Yes." And again, like they're kind of playing back and forth between literal and symbolic. So literal, I don't know what she meant, like if she meant like something about psychiatric or like that the psych ward stuff, or if she actually meant what the dream was, because it was a weird dream that I knew was being influenced by some of these people. So yeah, trying to think of what else I experienced that was really weird. Like, so there was a lot. I mentioned the socks in the video before, and I mentioned the deodorant. I mentioned it in another video. I think it was I am Gandalf chit chatting, or if it was my first psychic reading live stream with the guitar at that park. It's you'd have to look at my live streams, but um, I talked about the experience with the deodorant where like he kind of teleported it. So check that out if you want to hear that story on that video. So what else? Yeah, no, there was just a bunch of really weird stuff. But yeah, I remember I had this thought like, what are these people like cannibals or something? And we were eating, and they kept calling me the food for some reason. Um, so the gang leader walks past the table that I'm sitting at with some of the other people around my age, and we were eating, and this one person who I thought was either in the gang or a victim of the gang, the farming, like I mentioned in the last video, they farm these people. That's what I call it. But check it out my last video if you want to know what I mean by that. But so this girl who I think uh is either being farmed or is in the gang, she said um one of the gang leader walked past and he goes, "How's the food?" And keep in mind, I was really quiet because I was really paranoid and getting all this like um intuitive hits and downloads and weird magical stuff. And the girl like looks at me and she goes, "It ain't talking." And yeah, it was just really weird. There was like a bunch of like stuff like that where like they kept like talking about like me, but they were using like symbols and um, you know, like the food, stuff like that. But you can kind of like tell. I can kind of tell that they were talking about me because like you know how like when someone's like when you're hanging out with people and someone has like a really snarky comment, but they're not looking at you, but they're directing it at you. You can feel their energy or their like tone of voice. They're like directing it at you, but they're like looking the other way. Um, that's what it felt like constantly with a lot of these like specific people. I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, I definitely don't remember all of it. What else was it? Well, I mentioned in the last video that there was like time bending in that second weird hospital stay with the magic. Um, yeah, there's some other stuff I do want to get into, but I'm already going on like 34 minutes. So yeah, that hospital stay, I can talk about even more things that are really weird. I just want to end it off with one more story. I'm trying to think of a good one. Um, oh yeah, so here's a good one. When I was in the hospital the second time with all the weird stuff in 2020 during COVID, I was actually in not the hospital I stayed at, but at another hospital where I was I went to because I was like, I'm sick, I need to go to the hospital. So I went to that hospital. They eventually transferred me to the hospital that I actually stayed at that year. But the one that I was waiting at initially, um, I was sitting in like this room on a like I don't know what you call it, not like a stretch bed, but I don't know what you call it, but it's like a chair, like a long chair. And so I I heard and I felt I mainly heard a lot of people like shouting shit at me from the other room, and I knew it was something weird and magical and all these gangs and stuff like that. And another thing is that I saw that gang leader again in that hospital. I looked out into the hallway and he was right there. And so yeah, I knew it was like part two of whatever that was. But they were shouting shit at me and I had they kind of like devoured my spiritual heart. And if you don't know what that is, it's when you get like that gaping feeling, like a hole in your chest. But that sense of passion in your chest is like taken away. And I think they basically told me that they devoured my heart. Um, so then I they were shouting all that shit at me. In a moment of like bravery, I'm like, I just gotta ask these people, like, are you in a gang? Are you bothering me? So I got up. I felt like my heart come back. Like I felt something fill up my chest. And I go out to the doorway and I asked those people, I'm like, are you in a gang? They got really quiet. And the nurse who was like waiting outside the doorway in the hallway, she was like, no, there's no gangs here. And obviously it's a psych ward, so they're like worldly people or muggles or whatever. So after that, I go back to my chair, I sit down, and now mind you, when I actually got up, I heard those people shouting at me, and they were like, strong kid," and I just need to throw that in there because that's what they said. I just remember that now. But so I went to sit down again, and I heard somebody out in the hallway go, like freak out and go, "Mary blessed his heart, Mary blessed his heart, Mary blessed his heart." Like she said it like twice, I think. But yeah, it was like that feeling that came back in my chest. And I was having visions where I was like, where I not what I was like, but um, I don't know if I remember. I don't know if I saw angels or heard angels, but I remember hearing a voice saying, "If they kill you, we'll take you to heaven." And yeah, it was really weird. Another thing, so I actually ended up with this. So um, when I was in the initial hospital waiting, um, I felt like at one point before they devoured my heart, I felt my heart expand and go outwards. And the minute I did that, the minute not I did that, the minute that just happened, that moment, the guy who was sitting right next to me, he looks at me and he goes, "Oh Jesus!" He's like, "You want my sandwich?" And I was like, "Okay." That same moment that happened, I still remember that. So yeah. All right, I'll end it here. Peace.